We are very excited. Very excited. We are brimming with excitement. And all I have to do to get this whole thing going is say two words. Shall I say them? Please. Shall I? Shall I?
Shall. Yes.
Misha Collins.
Misha.
Hi.
Hi. Looking good.
I just want to say, unlike Richard Spade, I am happy to be here.
Hey,
Yes.
bite your tongue, sir.
And it's not just a contractual
Right.
obligation.
Let's point that out.
That I actually appreciate
Yeah.
each and every one of you.
That's good to point that out.
And,
Yes.
and I have equal enthusiasm for you
Yeah.
as you do for coming to one of these.
Yeah.
So I want
You know what's shocking because it's his hometown audience.
Go ahead.
I'd rather not be talking, but I have to because of the contract.
It's not that so much as I just doing the dirty work of like paving the road for Misha to come out here and be lauded as a hero when really I should be the hero. I'm the local. This is my hometown, but I have to take a back seat to big
You know, I would like to
celebrities.
point out, he is a local. And first thing he did when he had the opportunity to, was he left. That's his devotion to your community. That's what you're dealing with here.
And on my face. But I can't return in glory if I don't leave first. It's shame. Ladies and gentlemen, Misha Collins.
Hey, Misha.
See, he's doing it again. He's doing it again.
Misha, were you just in Brazil?
I was just in Brazil.
What was going on there? Was it a convention?
It was a convention. I think somebody at the last minute realized like it was a security problem that they shouldn't go, and so they called and they were like, "Hey, Misha, can you come last minute?" And I was like, "Oh, sure. I don't value my security." And so I went, and holy shit!
Yeah. Intense.
Like Brazilian fans are intense. You people are intense, but it's a different kind of intense. Like they're screaming and throwing clothing and
Whoa.
and like knocking over the security barricades, and I conveyed this to my girlfriend on the phone. I was like, "Oh, honey, I'm really famous in Brazil." And she was like, "That's like one of those things that people say when they're really not famous."
Right.
And I was like, "Yeah, well, but I actually am famous, and so I can say it. It's funny." And she was like, "Yeah, but I want to remind you about that video I made." And I was like, "Oh, motherfucker," because this past summer was my birthday, and so she put together this like video of like all my friends and relatives to like say a little something about me, and also to edit in interstitial video. She just went around with her iPhone and just recorded like asking people if they knew who Misha Collins was. And she has like 50 little clips of her just walking up to strangers being like, "Hey, quick question for you. Do you know who the actor Misha Collins is?" And everybody says no. And her intention in making this was like to culminate the whole thing with somebody being like, "Yes, I know who you are." She couldn't find anyone.
That's hilarious. I never saw the finished product.
Yeah, well, it's depressing.
It's accurate.
Well, nevertheless, Rob and Ruth made a little clip for that video, which
Yes,
is very
yes.
sweet.
Yes. And the baby too.
Yeah. And Margaret was actually sort of the star of the video.
Yeah. Her first words were, "You're my father, Misha." Well, you're famous in my heart and all these fine people, and you're a lovely person, and I'll leave you to it.
Okay, bye. You left a lot of germs on that microphone. Note to self, do not lick microphone. Hi, everyone. How's it going? Good. Great. I just got back from Brazil, which was a fun little impromptu jaunt. I went with my dad, who remarkably, with 2 days' notice, was like, "Yeah, I'll go to Brazil." And he speaks a little bit of Portuguese, which meant that he just talked to everybody but me the whole time we were there, which is kind of cool. I just landed this morning, so if I seem a little bit out of it, you'll know why. Thank you. I'm glad I'm here too. My flight last night got delayed until 8 a.m. It was going to depart at 8 a.m. this morning. So I had a bit of a scramble yesterday figuring out how to get here. I was like, that's going to make me miss all the show. That's not a good idea. I guess I'm going to just ask you to ask me a question. What do you think about that? What do you think about that person at the front of the line? You want to do it?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, sure.
Take it away.
Since you were just in Brazil, out of curiosity, if you had to pick like any ideal filming location for a show or a movie, where would you want to go?
Ooh, probably Jensen's house. I think it would be cool to reveal all of the kind of weird, BDSM paraphernalia that he has in his house. It makes great set deck for
What
sort
if I
of
tell him that at our photo op later?
yeah, absolutely. Do tell him that. That's a great idea. I can't wait to see it, watch you get ejected from the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Hi.
What was your favorite episode that you acted in on Supernatural?
My favorite episode, well, that really depends. I mean, from what angle are you talking about? My favorite episode that I acted in, from a viewer standpoint, like just watching it, I think was The French Mistake, because it was great. That was also my favorite from an actor's perspective, because I got to look at us making fun of ourselves, and it was pretty. Like they did such a good job of satirizing us. Like each of us, they amplified certain traits of our personalities, and like for example, I'm dismissive of the cast and crew and don't pay attention to anybody, which is kind of like a problem of mine because I'm always like off in my head. I'm not actually being an asshole, I don't think. But I can tend to be sort of just like lost in thought. And so in the show, I like pushed the person who was doing my hair and makeup in the episode. I just pushed them away. But it was like part of satirizing, like our me lost in thought or whatever. And then and my manager at the time, he watched the episode and he was like, "Oh, Misha, it's so great to see you finally just getting to play yourself." I was like, "Oh no, I really do come across as an asshole." And then, like, for example, Jared, the Jared character in that episode had a giant painting of him, or a photo? Painting? Giant painting of himself in his, like, it wasn't really Jared's house. Like, it was all a set, right? It was all a satire. Giant painting of himself up on the wall. And then when we were done with the season, we all laughed. It's like, it's so totally ridiculous. And at the end of the season, like, Jared was like, "Hey, what are you going to do with that painting?" It was art imitating life, imitating art, becoming real life. It was like kind of a mind. Anyway, that was a great episode. I really liked. There were a couple of episodes I really liked acting in because from a financial standpoint, which were the best one, really financially speaking, was the episode Baby. Do you remember that episode? Which is also a great episode, right? But I got paid for filming the entire episode, my regular episodic rate, and my role on the show, on that episode, was just a voice message that I had to leave, and I was like, when the producer called and was like, "Hey, so actually we're going to use you in this episode after all, but it's just for a voice recording," and I was like, "Oh, you're not going to make me come in to record that, are you?" And they were like, "I guess not. I guess if you just record it on your phone. You can email it to us. So I just sat in my closet and spent 5 minutes recording that and got paid for a regular episode. Which, by the way, I called the producer back and I was like, let's do more of these episodes. This works great. Anyway, what was your favorite episode? Have you watched any of them?
You're putting me on the spot.
What's that?
You're putting me on the spot.
I know. Well, look, how do you think I feel up here?
I would have to say Swan Song.
Swan Song. Very good choice. Yeah. Hey, ass butt. That's where that phrase came from. That was Swan Song was Eric Kripke, who created the show. It was his swan song because that was the last episode that he was involved in. Then he went on to do serious television after that. The thing I remember most about that episode was that I said, "Hey, ass butt," which is like changed my life forever. There's something about ass butt actually, like it sort of makes me feel deeply washed up because that was what, I don't know, 15 years ago now. How long ago was that? It was getting on. It wasn't 15 years ago, but it was like 12 years ago or something. And now people always come up to me and they're like, "Hey, can you do me a favor? Will you say, 'Hey, ass butt' in the Cass voice?" And then I'm like, "Yeah. Hey, ass butt." But it's like, I mean, how would you feel if, like, when someone sees you, the first thing they think is ass butt? That's what I've been reduced to in a lot of people's eyes, You brought up a very painful memory for me.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi, what's crack? I just wanted to ask, are you a nickname kind of person? Do you have nicknames for anyone in your life or vice versa?
Do I have nicknames for anyone in my life? Oh, no.
Oh, okay. Excellent question. Then.
Nope. No, I call my son Bug, and I call my daughter May May, and I have a friend, a very close friend who has a girlfriend who's Italian, and her name, we just had a conversation about nicknames for about an hour. Yesterday, as I was driving to the airport in Sao Paulo, we had a conversation. That's why I laughed when you asked the question, because she's Italian, and she's Italian-Indian, I guess. She has, her name is Vijaya, and she's coming to the States. And I was like, well, she has to change her name. She can't be Vijaya here. And then he suggested, well, what about the JJ? And I thought, no, that's not going to work either. And so we spent a long time workshopping it, and it's tricky, because you can't just like cut off at the beginning. You can't just be veg, right? It's tricky. Anyway, JJ is fine, right? JJ, you can't be JJ because people say, what's that short for? You say, it's Vajay, and then I'm like, JJ, and then it falls apart right away. So yeah, probably Jaya. What do you think? Is that any other ideas, like what nickname? Because I could report back. I actually told my friend I'd work on it. Actually, Pete, hold on. Can you put your camera down for a second and just use this one? Will you help me? Thank you. Just film me and then turn around on the audience. We're recording right now. Yeah, you're already recording. You can just. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so the question, everyone, is we're working with the name Vijaya, and of course, in the United States, that immediately conjures, well, actually, what does it conjure? Okay, so we got a chorus of people saying vagina just now. Which, by the way, is a wonderful organ and something to celebrate, like nothing against vaginas. I want to be very, very clear about that. Like, and if that's the choice, just to embrace it. Nonetheless, we're gathered here today to discuss this important question. What should be maybe an Americanized or anglicized version of Vijaya? And we decided Vajayjay? Okay, thank you for that feedback, everyone. Vag? Interesting. Gaia? Jaya? Wow, that was a resounding and enthusiastic endorsement of the name Jaya. This is just a small sampling of about, I don't know, 6,500 people. I count crowd numbers like Trump does. Can I? Anyway, just a straw poll, but pretty damn accurate, I think. You were looking at me just now? Did you fuck it up? What? Okay. You did it right? Oh my God, that's gonna be gold. Thank you, everybody. Anyway, thank you for broaching that question. That was super useful. Hi.
Hi, Misha. On your trip to Brazil, there was a social media image of you eating a bug. So you're clearly a daring guy. What is the most adventurous thing you've ever done?
Ever done? I can't tell you that, but working with Jared. Oh my God, I don't know where to start. I used to do a lot of things when I was younger that now I would never do. I didn't think about safety at all in any way. People would say, but that's dangerous. And I'd be like, oh, don't be ridiculous. I met somebody who was involved in sending supplies through mission work to Haiti when there had just been a military coup, and the president, Jean-Bertrand Aristide, had just been exiled to the United States. It was sort of like a civil war, and this guy was sending cargo of relief supplies to Haiti, and I was like, well, you put people on the plane? I'd love to go. And then went to Haiti and stayed with a friend of the exiled president. And every time a car drove down the road, he would like sit up and be like, because he was afraid it was a death squad coming to kill us. And I was there as a fucking tourist. Like, I had no business there whatsoever. So I did things like that fairly often, and also like just harebrained things. Like I was in India when I was 21, and I was trying to make a documentary video. I decided it was going to be an interesting documentary. This never came to anything, but the documentary was going to be like about how different people around the world, different cultures around the world, treat the issue of abortion. And in India, they had a totally different attitude about it. It was like, an abortion is like getting a tooth pulled. Like they just don't think about it at all the way we think about it here. And so I wanted to film in this hospital and like talk to doctors. And I asked, it was a hospital that had like 3,000 people, 3,000 patients in it, this huge hospital. And they said, the only way we would let you in here is if you're a doctor. And I was like, well, I finished medical school. You know, I'm not practicing yet, but I finished medical school. And they were like, really? And I was like, yeah. And then I forged this thing saying that I was a doctor, and then I went into the hospital to film. And then the other doctors were totally overwhelmed. They're like, hey, you're a doctor. Can you help here? And I was like, So I had to like dance around for about a week when I was like filming in this hospital, pretending like, I can't. I'm holding the camera right now. Somebody else do those stitches. But it was pretty crazy. I've done a lot of things that are really dumb. I guess dumb and adventurous are kind of like close. And speaking of food, I did the show Road Food. When I was in Texas, I ate an eyeball. Yuck. No, not to my taste. Yeah, I'd rather eat the ants.
For sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. Hi.
Hi, Misha. So one of my favorite episodes is when you play the empty, and I just love how it's like Cass talking to Cass. And I just kind of want to know what like the process was of filming that, like having to talk to yourself.
Oh my God, it was so hard. It was so unbelievably difficult. They got this thing, I can't remember what it was called. It was like some special camera that we had never used on Supernatural before that could somehow like exactly, precisely track the movements and replicate them from shot to shot. So it was like this giant programmed robot that took up about like, I don't know, from here to the end of the stage, this massive mechanism that just like did this weird thing. The problem is nobody on the crew knew how to use it. And so they were trying to figure out how to program it, but they were like, oh shit, wait. Okay, so we did that movement there, and then this is gonna work because we, oh shoot. You know what? We have to do it again. We should do it again this time, but this time here, the empty, not Cass. We got it wrong. So we were like switching back and forth, like from one take to the other, with me playing Cass in one take, and then the empty in the next take, and then Cass. And I was trying to remember who the hell I was and what the hell was going on. And it was on this big, like black, they made the whole stage this perfectly black floor, black walls, black ceiling, everything was perfect. But if anybody like stepped on the regular stage and then stepped on this, you'd see the footprints. So there was somebody like wiping everything up every time anybody from the crew had to come on. But it meant that I couldn't leave this like little black area. So I was like isolated, like, hey, everybody, I need some water. You know, but I was like on my own all day and like kind of going crazy because I couldn't figure out which character, they couldn't figure out which character I was at any given point. It was a real challenge. It was really interesting because normally, like as an actor, you don't use your brain at all. You're basically a moronic puppet. But I really had to use my brain that day, and I was just exhausted. I remember driving home being like, oh my God, I'm so tired. I just have to go to sleep. My brain hurt. It was fun. It was cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi, Misha. Thanks so much for the joy that you give all of us in your work. And my question is if you could tell us the story about the most meaningful fan interaction you've had.
Oh my God.
I don't really think I've had any. Yeah, thank you for that little nugget. Somebody in my photo op just now brought up a shower curtain with my face all over it. What the fuck are you gonna do with that? Like, and also, how is that? Is the presumably the Misha's face is facing out, right? Like, am I watching you in the shower? You haven't figured it out yet. Well, one way or another, I'm going to be watching you because you get out of the shower naked. So it's going to happen one way or another. I don't know. It's really hard to say. I don't think there is one most meaningful. I mean, we were part of creating this fictitious world with these aspirational characters who I think had this mythological quality of being like kind of the archetypical ideal that you want to strive for, like trying your hardest, doing your best, being a flawed individual who just doesn't give up and keeps trying. And I think that message has been taken as inspiration by a lot of people and helped a lot of people actually get through some hard times. Right after those perverts with the shower curtain came up, I met there were two of them, by the way. One who made the shower curtain, and one for whom the shower curtain was made. Right. And each of you were like pointing to the other one, like, look, she made it. And she's like, well, it's hers. Like, I'm not the creep that's using it. But right after this quite meaningful, by the way, fan interaction that I had, I met a young person who had been a Make-A-Wish kid and had survived and said, that's you? Hi. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm doing it anyway. But you said that something about the show had carried you through what has to have been the darkest chapter of anyone's life. And I don't know, maybe I'm speculating about it, you know, being these characters who fight on in the face of incredibly impossible opposition, but that means a lot to us. You know, we don't, as actors who work in film and television, usually we record something and it's for the camera operators and the directors and the crew on stage, and then it goes out and it's broadcast on television, and we never get to find out how it lands. And it all feels a little bit disconnected and removed and maybe even clinical. But for us to be able to come to an event like this and meet people face to face who had either deeply transformative or powerful experiences with the material that we created, or are just perverts. It's nice to get that feedback, you know? Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
What's a moment from this year that you were most proud of yourself?
A moment from this year that I was most proud of myself? Oh, I mean, God, where do I start? Thank you for that question. Do you have a moment from this year that you're most proud of yourself?
Right now?
Well, you're doing great. It can be very nerve-wracking to talk in front of a large group of people. And you've got this light on your face, and a scary person yelling at you. You're doing great. Mazel tov. I don't know. I think I've had in a lot of ways a really wonderful year. It's been great in many respects, and I think a lot of that has been due to pushing myself to try new things, or just trying new things. I've been trying new things, which has been really cool. Not just ants, but you know, even doing. I'm putting up this one-person show tonight, which is a work in progress and has been really an interesting process and exploration for me. But I have never done anything like that before, and it was like I'm trying something new for the first time the year that I turned 50, and that feels good. I'm glad to not be calcified quite yet, you know. Anyway, I guess that's one thing.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks.
Hello, my name is Ngazi. I'm from Georgia.
Hi.
Hi. My question is, you're very politically involved. So, do you have like a guiding philosophy or principle for how you decide to marry your celebrity with your political activism, and how you decide when you respond to something versus don't?
No, not really. It shifts over time. I think that I actually truthfully got into acting because I had been a White House intern, and I thought I was going to go to law school and work my way up in the world of politics to have an impact on the world. And then I realized, oh, I see how this system works. This sucks. I know what I'll do. I'll go get famous, and then I'll use that to make a difference in the world, which just means that I'm totally fucking full of myself, that I thought that was a viable option. But then along the way, I kind of just lost track of that and just wanted to become an actor for the sake of becoming an actor. But once I got into Supernatural and was able to start I realized, there's all this creative energy in this community, and there's this real community that is really eager to participate in things. I started doing things with the fandom, and my feeling is I don't know, I have actor friends who say things like, well, yeah, I don't really like to get involved in, political stuff or whatever. I just like to stay out of it. And my feeling is, why have a platform if you're not going to use it to try to make the world better? And I happen, and I think that should be true of everyone. Doesn't mean everyone should have the same perspective or beliefs that I have, but I feel like it's all of our collective responsibility to go out in the world and try to make the place better, because otherwise, what are we about? I don't in terms of guiding philosophy, my guiding philosophy is not just that I want to make things better for myself, it's that I want to figure out how to make things better in general. And that means being vocal about the things that I think will contribute to that. And that is also a constantly shifting thing, what is it that I think is going to make the world better? And also, you have to be conscious of the fact that if you preach too much, which sometimes I do, people start tuning out because it gets really fucking boring, So you have to just be a grounded human being in the process too. I don't know. I'm figuring it out, obviously.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so
Hi.
I have to get through this without tearing up.
No, you don't. You can cry here. It's a safe space.
Of course, I'm so starstruck. But God, see, I'm crying. So I just want to thank you for your character for the show. It's one of the few shows that some people watch, and they watch over and over again, and it helps them get through their struggles and everything. And because when a show brings you joy, sadness, and every emotion in between, and you cry with the characters and you laugh with the characters, it becomes part of you. You immerse yourself into that fake reality. But in the end, I don't think, well, I know you guys know that that's something that's special, and that's something that as the cast, you guys have made our lives better for what you guys have done. So that's my first thing. So my actual question is, which version of Castiel did you like playing the least?
The least? Oh my God, that's so great. So often I get stuck with that question of the best.
So this was the least.
That's no fun. Yeah, the least. Well, I think there were two Castiels that I had particular trouble with. One was Crazy Cass, and one was Nazi Cass. Every once in a while, you do something, and then you're done filming, and then you're like, did I really do that? Shit. And that's how I felt after Nazi Cass. And we don't have a lot of time there's not rehearsals there's not a bunch of phone calls in advance of filming something with the director and the producers discussing how the character is going to evolve. With Crazy Cass, which was another one that I really liked least, I think, because I never really felt like I figured it out. Ben Edlund was directing that episode, and he also, the episode where Crazy Cass appears, and he also wrote that episode. And so I came in with sort of like an idea of what I was going to do, but I wasn't really sure about it. And before we did our first take, Ben said, why don't you make him like just completely emotionless, just like a zombie, just like take Castiel and then drain out all of his energy and fire, which he doesn't have any to start with. And so we did the first take. And I was like, oh, okay, all right, I'll try that. I guess I'll throw out, what the idea I had. And we did the first take. And it was horrible. You could tell the whole crew was like, their souls were being crushed by my performance. And Ben said, okay, Misha, let's do another take, but this time, make him just like totally off the walls manic. And then I tried that again without the crew knowing that there had been a conversation here. So now the crew thinks, oh no, like I don't know if Misha's okay. Like something's wrong with the guy. And then he was like, I don't know if then Ben after that take, he was like, Ben had this way of directing me. He'd sort of like go like this, like just walk in a circle. And you got the sense like you want to know that your director's like got you, right? You got the sense that he was like, oh fuck, this is going terrible. His inner monologue was, oh my God, how did he become an actor? So after that second take, he said, I don't know, just do something else. Well, we had to get on with the filming, and so what we ended up with the Crazy Cast was me being like, that's essentially the quality that was captured in Crazy Cast, I felt like. So I had a hard time with that one. Yeah, thanks. I also didn't really love being Castiel, who was under the spell of famine, because I had to, on my hands and knees, eat several pounds of vegan, fake ground beef out of a dog dish without using my hands. And that is basically like, if you want to sum up sadness, that's it.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Hi, Misha.
Hello.
I'm on behalf of my friend to ask questions because she's super shy here. So, yeah, so we've noticed that Kat has been wearing the same outfit the whole time. So we was wondering what you wish to like choose for Kat to like try on if you had a chance. Yeah.
Oh, that's a really wonderful question. Boy, that's something that we really could have explored in the show more. Like we could have had some reason why Cass has to go into a disguise and like put him in, I don't know, like a circus leotard or something. Right? Why didn't we do that? I almost want to tell Eric, look, we have to go back into production. I have this idea. We have to figure out how to put Cass in a different costume. That will be the driving impetus behind the reboot of Supernatural. It's like Warner Brothers will make an announcement. We realize we made a terrible mistake, and to rectify it, we are rebooting Supernatural. And Castiel will heretofore be in a leotard. So my costume, I just walked into the wardrobe department on a couple of days before my first day of filming, and they said, well, it says in the script, a la that Castiel is in a rumpled suit with a trench coat, looking like a tax accountant. I can't remember the exact words. A la Constantine. So it's like basically copy Constantine's costume. And so they found some stuff that looked kind of like Constantine's costume, and I went in and I tried it on, and I was like, yeah, whatever, it's fine. And it turns out like everything was actually like 3 sizes too big, but I was like, doesn't matter, it's a guest star spot. I'll be on to the next thing in no time. And then, like a year and a half later, I came back in and I said, guys, I'm sorry, like I'm still wearing this fucking thing and it doesn't fit at all. Like, and then I showed them that I had been tucking the shirt, like doubling it over in the back and tucking it in because it was just like way too big. And they're like, motherfucker, why didn't you tell us? And I was like, I don't know, I didn't want to make a thing, but it's like, you know, it doesn't fit. So then after a little while, I was like, I called, after I don't know how many seasons, I called the producers and I was like, guys, can we just put me in something? This is so frumpy and ridiculous. Like, everybody else gets new stuff all the time. Can't you just write some excuse that I have a new costume? And they're like, yeah, we'll do that. And so the next season, I went back in to the wardrobe before we started, and they did another fitting, and I was like, it's all the same. It's just a slightly different trench coat and a slightly different tie. And they're like, yeah, that's what they have a play on the whole thing. And so I tried it on, and I was like, okay, I don't know where this is going. And then Cass shows up in a new trench coat and a new tie with no explanation at all. And that's just how we did things on the show. Thanks.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi.
So I just want to say thank you for doing these because this is something that me and my friends do every year. Well, this is our third year. It's our get away from the kids and husband kind of thing, girl trip, and we love it. And we always...
It's like a Girls Gone Wild weekend.
It really is. It's where we can act like a fool and no one's judging us. Well, if you are, oh well. But it's our third year, and we've had every year something ridiculous or crazy has happened to us that we laugh until we can't breathe. When it's 9 out of 10 times, it's really embarrassing. Again, we don't care.
Can you give us like 3 examples?
I can actually give you like the best one was we were in New Orleans. That was our we were in New Orleans and we had this beautiful hotel. It was not too far from the convention. And this was our whole first experience, and we'd never been to New Orleans either, and we had to wash our clothes. And this is the embassy. It was, I don't know, it had like 30 floors or something ridiculous. And the laundry room was on like this ridiculously high floor in this little tiny corner in the middle of nowhere with like 2 washer and dryers that were like older than me. I'm not that old, but I mean, they were pretty old. And so we go up there to do our laundry, and my beautiful friend, who's such a sweetheart, noticed somebody's clothes are in the dryer. Now my sister and I, we were like, no, we'll just put it on top and leave it. She folds them. She says, no, they've got to be a child's, you know, and we're watching it. They're small clothes, they're small underwear. And I'm thinking, what child's doing a full load of laundry on the 14th floor of a hotel in downtown New Orleans? And I'm going, no, it's got to be. So, you know, we're like, I just, you know, just put them up to the side. She's like, no, I want to teach them a lesson. You know, you shouldn't leave your clothes, and then I want to be kind and leave it folded.
Can you come to my house? I love that attitude.
I don't think she put that as a no. So it turns out it was, I'm going to assume maybe he worked as a jockey. He was a very petite man, and it was a very glass door, and all we heard was a struggle because he had seen us through the glass door, her folding his underwear, and he's trying to get in to get the door open, and the 3 of us are just standing there like, oh crap, and it's a tiny room. So we had nowhere to run, and we had to literally walk past it. So I think that's probably my best. So my question is, do you have, doing all these and meeting all these people that love you and interacting, do you have like a really embarrassing moment that you've had?
Not that I can think of, no.
No, nothing?
But your story reminded me of a story that happened to somebody on the cast that I'm not going to reveal who it is because it's their story to tell, but I'll let you figure out on your own. No, you probably won't figure it out. But it was somebody in the cast. I think we were I think we were in Charlotte, and we were staying, also not to brag, but at a fancy hotel. And she was staying in a room that had 2 doors. So there was like the door to the hallway, and I guess it was like a loud hallway or something. So they had like this little empty room, and then another door to block out the noise from the hallway. And was staying with another person in the room, and had some sort of weird dream or something. and did just a tiny bit of sleepwalking that rendered her naked in the hallway with no room key. And then there was a banging on the door to get back in, but there's another door, so the sleeping partner did not wake up. So she had to figure out what to do. She saw a door to the stairway, so she was like, okay, I'm just gonna somehow like creep downstairs, and I'll notify somebody in the lobby to come help me. So she went down the stairs, but it turns out that stairwell was one of those where once you go in, you can't open the door to anything but the sidewalk on the side of the building. So completely buck naked, then she had to walk around the building and through the front door of the lobby of this fancy hotel being like, hey, I forgot my room key. And in that context, it turns out they're not eager to give you a room key. So there was some explaining to do at that point. But that's what, like, that seems like a pretty embarrassing story, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely tops ours.
Yeah. All right, thanks. Thank you. Hi.
Hi, I'm Nikki from Knoxville.
Hi.
Hi. I have a question for you about Cass.
Okay, perfect. You've come to the right place.
I did, didn't I? If Cass showed up on The Boys, would he be on Team Starlight or have his own team?
Oh, great question. I think Cass would be on Team Starlight. I think he would just, like, saddle up and join the team. What do you think? But I think that he would, fitting that you would mention this, I think that he would get a cape and a leotard. Don't you?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that he would join up with Jensen's character, Soldier Boy, maybe.
And do what?
I don't know.
And Soldier Boy?
Just have fun with Soldier Boy.
Just have
destroying
fun with Soldier
things.
Boy. Well, interesting.
Are you hinting that you're going to be on The Boys?
Am I hinting that I'm going to be on The Boys?
Yes.
Well, no, not at all. You are the one that asked the question about The Boys, and then I posed a perfectly hypothetical response, and then you said that I should be enjoying myself with Jensen. And
that's true.
And I think that that's problematic because Castiel is like a good guy, and as far as I can tell, like Soldier Boy is mostly a bad guy, right?
Yes.
So then you're sort of saying that Castiel is a character with no actual like moral compass, right?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Well, this is tricky. But I think we can both agree on one thing and one thing only, and that is that he should have a cape and a leotard. Okay, great. Let's just leave it at that.
All right.
Let's find common ground here. Okay, thank you.
Hi, Misha.
Hi.
If you could relive your own Groundhog Day, and
I can do what?
If you could go through your own Groundhog Day, and after it's over, there's no consequences, what would you do? Like, what would you do in your Groundhog Day? Or if you have a day you want to repeat, what would you want to repeat?
Well, in a way, I feel like Supernatural was Groundhog Day. I mean, there were so many times when I would get a script and I would think, we're doing this episode again? Because it did get redundant after a while. But I don't know. I mean, there's not a lot of things that you can do and feel like, oh, I'm glad I'm doing this thing again for the 1,000th time, other than sex. So, I guess that would be my Groundhog Day. Thanks. How about you?
I mean, I'm kind of similar that if you want to continue doing the same thing, then you're not really living, and you want to continue having new experiences, and the more you get to do something, the less special it becomes. So, for me,
you're worried it would ruin sex?
I knew that was coming. Oh, wait, sorry. I'm so sorry. Like, I mean,
I can't believe you asked such a dirty question. Totally inappropriate.
sorry. But I really like going on roller coasters, so I like being able to go to Cedar Point in Ohio. I have a lot of fun there. But I think after a while it'll become.
The roller coaster would get boring, right?
I mean, it would after a while, yeah.
Yeah. Just a suggestion. What about sex on a roller coaster? Okay.
That'd be difficult.
Hi.
Hi, was there any decisions that the writers made that you didn't like?
Where to start? Yes. Yes, there were. I mean, look, I'll be honest. I mean, not totally honest. But I'll be a little bit honest. One thing I've always said is one thing I've recently discovered is I wish Castiel had changed his clothes. Another thing is, I think the cast should have been human for longer and gotten more into that arc of the story. I think we could have done more interesting things with that. And I kind of wish there had been a different, I wish there had been a different wrap up to the show. I know that that's kind of controversial to say, and it'll look like it's egotistical because I wasn't in the end of the show, which it is. I'm certain partly fueled by that. But I think that in a way, maybe it's a good thing that the show, to me, I felt like the end of the show left me wanting more and different, and I felt like it left things unanswered, and it left storylines unresolved and maybe open for future mining. So I'm going to take that as a good thing, that like maybe there is an opportunity to reboot or revisit the end of Supernatural in some way at some point down the road. I think it would be so fun to dip our toes back into that. Not maybe for another 15 seasons, but, certainly 11 or 12. Yeah. What about you? What did you hate most about the show?
The way Crawley died.
The way Crowley died. Yeah. That was fairly unceremonious, wasn't it? Yeah. I'm surprised that there weren't more unceremonious deaths in the show, because a lot of times they would not book guest stars or recurring guest stars very far in advance. I would always be like, wait, they haven't told you you're coming back? Talking to somebody who's like a recurring character on the show, they haven't told you about that? And you're like, no, nobody's called me. Because they just kept getting lucky that people were available and they could work it out. And I was very surprised that there weren't more instances where there was a character whose storyline didn't get to be paid off because somebody was working on another show and now unavailable or something like that. We ended up having pretty good success with that. And every once in a while they would just switch bodies. I guess that was a helpful device. Like, oh, Ruby's a different Ruby now. Meg is a different Meg now. I was always afraid they were going to just be like, Cass I guess Cass was like a 10-year-old girl at one point. But I was always afraid, like, shit, I shouldn't have been a Supernatural character on this show. It's death knell. But somehow I survived. All right, thanks.
Hi, Misha. I was wondering, in an alternate universe, if Castiel went to high school, what type of club he would be in.
Oh my God. You're pointing out that Castiel did not even have a high school education. Fuck. Bible club?
If there was like a fencing club, I think he would like rock that.
Yeah, he would do well in a fencing club. Because he could, Cass with wings anyway, could teleport around, really fuck with his fencing partner. Okay, that's good. I like that. What club are you in? Are you in high school?
No, I'm 24.
Oh. Look, my eyes are bad. I don't know. Don't blame me.
Me too. That's why I have glasses.
Wait, so you are out of high school?
Yes.
Good for you. You would have been held back a lot of years if you were still in high school. Are you in any clubs now?
I like to bowl, like on a league. I like to do that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I did that in high
I mean,
school.
not cool, but fun.
It's cool.
It is cool?
It's cool.
Is it?
Yes.
Is it?
It is.
I'm on a bowling league. Fuck, badass, man. That is badass. That's really fucking cool. I think it's cool. That's very cool. I'm lying. I don't think it's cool. But I think it's great that you're doing it. And I would love to be a good bowler. I'm just not. I've never had a lesson. You know, I had a traumatizing experience bowling once. You know where the ball gets returned? And there's that little rubber belt that comes up out of the little chute? I was 11 years old, and I was like tapping my fingers on the little rubber belt, and my fingers got sucked in to the thing and the belt, and I couldn't pull it out, and it wore off all of the skin on these two fingers, and I still have scars on both of these fingers. It was the most painful thing. Like, it went right down to the bone on two fingers, and I was like, ah! My dad was like, oh my god, what do I do? And I was like, fucking put my hand down on the thing. Anyway, thanks for bringing up that dramatic memory.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi, my name's Hannah.
Hi, Hannah.
My question is, so you, Jensen, and Jared are very funny people. What's the scene that had the most outtakes?
So funny, like, I have a good sense of humor and they're funny looking. Got it. I was like, they're funny. What was what?
What scene had the most outtakes?
Oh God. I don't know. We ruined thousands of hours of footage laughing. But there was a lot of very inappropriate behavior on set. I would say the one that I can think of that just lasted the longest was there was a scene where we were in like this Stepford Wives episode. I can't remember what it's called. It was me and Jared, and the Sam character tackles the Castiel character to the floor of a diner, and this was scripted. The writers wrote this, so they knew what was going to happen. They're like, it's scripted that Jared's lying on top of Misha in the episode, so they know for sure that it's going to be at least a couple of hours of overtime. Because there's no way we're filming that and not fucking around. And I mean literally fucking around. No, Jared got so inappropriate for so long, so there were a couple of takes. It was, I think all in all, like if we had just said the lines, it would have been a 45-second, take. But there was one take that was 25 minutes long. And the director just kept rolling the film. Who was the director of that episode? Phil Segresha. Oh, Phil Segresha also cut together the blooper reel at the end of the season. And at the end of that night of filming, he was like, oh my God, we have got some blooper gold from tonight. It's going to be pretty much like all this, like it's going to be golden. And then the blooper reel came out at the end of the season, and there was none of it in there. And I was like, I called Phil, and I was like, Phil, it was like everybody in the crew had tears streaming down their face. It was so fucking funny. It was so funny. What's going on? And he was like, we were in the post-production studio. We played back the footage, and I watched it, and then I watched the editor delete the scene at my direction because I realized that all of us would be canceled if any of that footage got out. So it's lost, sadly.
Thank you.
Or maybe not. Maybe not sadly.
No.
We'll see.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that probing question. Hi guys, it's so nice to see you again. I know that you're here under duress, but...
No, I came on my own volition. They said, Rich, you don't have to do this. I said, no, I volunteer, because I'm from the volunteer state, and I want to be there to be sure that Misha has a great exit to a fantastic panel. This was on me.
See what he did there?
There's nothing less authentic than plucky, enthusiastic Richard Speight.
It doesn't exist. Ladies and gentlemen, Misha Collins! Following Misha Collins is no easy trick. Nope. Because people love him, so you gotta be sure we put somebody on who's awesome, who's charming, who's delightful, but maybe got a little